Honorable Vincent Wheatley is the new Deputy Premier. Longstanding educator Adorthy Turnbull honored. Elmore Stout High School L-shaped building commissioned.
Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull demands respect. Horse races at the Ellis Thomas Downs this Sunday. President Trump clamps down on immigration and your weekly arrest blotter. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
How may I assist you? Yes. You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
You never put up a fight, no. Paradise Plum. Yeah, this is Naomi Cowan representing for 284 Media. Keep it locked and don't go anywhere. Stay sweet.
What are you really running for, boss? You could have bust a hole in your head. But see, with the competition, which means you're about to bust a hole in your pocket.
I could get my modem, please.
Anyhow, I got something huge to show you.
I gotta be sick in your head.
Well, hold on, string bean. Tina kind of party. Check this. That's LTE1 for just about everyone. LTE2 for you and your boo. And hold on. Bam! Rate so low, you feel like you're free. That's LTE3 for you and the whole family.
Save even more on your internet with new pricing from CCT. Get LTE 2 now for only $149. Get LTE 3 for the new low price of $189. All packages are unlimited, so there's no overage charge. You don't have to run into Chaz for savings. Just stop by our store and sign up today. Come on over to CCT. Life Unlimited.
Welcome, everybody. It's Friday, September 6, 2019. I'm Ron Grant.
And I'm Javon Wilson.
Thank God it's Friday.
It's Friday, and of course, Friday kickstarts the weekend.
Yes.
As you head into the weekend, we want you to have some fun, but first, here are the facts.
Topping our newscast today, as was previously announced by Minister of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Agriculture, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley. We got a lot of Dr. the Honorables there, who's also the representative for the 7th District. Shortly after taking office, the government of the Virgin Islands will be renaming the L-shaped building at the Elmore Stout High School campus. Our highly credible sources within the Foy administration have confirmed that the honoree is none other than former educator and past principal of the then BVI High School, the lovely Miss Adorthy Turnbull. Teacher Adorthy, or Aunt Adorthy as she is affectionately known by family, friends, and past students, has served as an educator for a number of years, particularly in the area of home economics. The ceremony commissioning the L-shaped building at the Elmore Stout High School is taking place as we speak, with the government officials, teachers, parents, and scores of supporters at the Elmore Stout High School campus in Road Town. Of course, if you were wishing to attend and you're now leaving work, you can still catch some of the activities as it's still going on. Jovan, a couple of really amazing things about this story that kind of warms my heart. One, Miss Adorthy Turnbull is still alive.
Yes.
She is alive and kicking with all her
Getting
faculties.
her flowers while she's alive.
And she is able to enjoy this wonderful honor, which is not always the case for many persons. And funny enough, I don't know if persons realize, but Adorthy and the L-shaped building
synonymous.
Is very name. It's quite an honor. So kudos. And of course, this administration and former administrations have made it their business to name buildings in honor of persons within the community who have made significant contributions. So this is just another example of that.
It's a great way to honor their legacy. I know ever since we made the post on social media, clearly it's been one of our most popular posts simply because she's very deserving. So again, we're just really happy to see Miss Adorthy being honored while she's still here with us. Moving right along, Honorable Vincent Wheatley is your newly appointed Deputy Premier. Today, September 6th, marked the end of the Deputy Premiership of Honorable Kai Reimer and the beginning of Honorable Wheatley's tenure. The Constitution says if the Premier is to be absent from the territory for more than 48 hours, the Governor shall authorize the Deputy Premier to perform the functions of the Premier. This is also commissioned if the Premier is ill and unable to carry out his functions. The Deputy Premier is expected to serve on the National Security Council alongside the Governor, the Premier, the Attorney General, the Commissioner of Police, which is essentially responsible for all matters pertaining to internal security. Now, upon taking up office, the Premier coined the notion that his government will be embracing unconventional measures to grapple with the unconventional times that we live in. He said, and I quote, "For the first year in office, each minister will hold the post of Deputy Premier for a period of 3 months. This is in an effort to build capacity. Your government is filled with potential and skills, and this course of action can only make us better." End of quote. Now, while this move was unwelcomed by some, the Premier reiterated his stance and stated that inclusion is imperative to ensure that all members of the government are functional within this capacity. Now, during the swearing-in ceremony today, in the presence of His Excellency Governor Augustus J.U. Jasper, government ministers, family, friends, and well-wishers, Honorable Vincent Wheatley swore alliance to the crown before being made official to execute the office of Deputy Premier for a period, again, of 3 months, effective September 6, 2019. Both of Honorable Wheatley's predecessors have coined that it was a really great experience serving as Deputy Premier. They applauded the unconventional leadership of the Premier, under whose directive they were appointed. So far, ministers who have served as Deputy Premier under the VIP administration are Honorable Dr. Natalia Wheatley, Honorable Kai Reimer, and of course now Honorable Vincent Wheatley, who is also the current Minister for Natural Resources, Immigration and Labor, as well as the 9th District's representative. So we here at 284 Media, of course, would love to extend our heartiest congratulations to Honorable Wheatley and wish him all the best as he approaches the next 3 months.
And let me tell you, he's quite excited about it. He always comes across as a very detailed. He
always has really good energy, though.
Yes, very
Do you
positive
realize?
and holistic.
I love that about him.
Yeah, so he's excited, and it was visible today at the swearing-in ceremony that he was prepared and ready to take on the challenge. Obviously, the next minister in line would be the Honorable Carvin Malone, because there are only 4 ministers that hold that portfolio. So of course he'd be up next, and then at the end of this year, the Premier would make his decision. So we wish them all the best. It's not a competition. They're all getting an opportunity to,
serve in this capacity, which is really good. All right, viewers, still ahead. Exciting races this Sunday, of course. Horse races at the Ellis Thomas Downs, and Honorable Turnbull is disappointed in being searched at the airport. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Hi, I'm Chandria Nicole Turnbull, 2019 Mrs. British Virgin Islands, and you are tuned into 284 Media. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back, viewers. Another exciting day of horse racing is scheduled for this Sunday, September 8, 2019 at the Ellis Thomas Downs in Seacoast Bay. There are 6 scheduled races on the day, with the feature race attracting 2 debut horses, Courage and Honor of Top Priority Racing Stables and Salsa Jack of Thomasville Racing Stables, along with My Running Mate of St. Thomas and the 2019 Premier's Cup winner, De Leon. The purse for the feature race is $9,000. In speaking with Mr. Lesmore Smith, president of the BVI Horse Owners Association and owner of Top Priority Stables, he stated that this Sunday's race is in honor of a top fan of the Virgin Islands horse racing, the late Clinton E. Brumley, aka the Bouncer, who will be honored with a memorial race meet. He encouraged persons to come out and support the races at the Ellis Thomas Downs. Post time is, of course, $1:45, and admission to the Ellis Thomas Downs is $10 for adults and $5 for children under 12. The race for the races, for the remainder of the year are proudly sponsored by CCT and, of course, 284 Media. We will be there live and direct. I don't know about you, Jovan, but you know I can't miss a single race. I have to be there.
Well, I'm officially a BVI lander now with all the horse races I've attended, so of course I'll be there.
Duly noted.
But Tullian won the last big race, which was the Premier's Cup, $25,000 from St. Thomas. So this time around, I'm really hoping that we get to keep some of that money right here within the borders of the Virgin Islands. But again, I think horse racing really ties into the cultural fabric and the makeup of BVI. When you think BVI, you definitely think horse race.
And it always draws the U.S. Virgin Islands and BVI together to create, it's like a family reunion. So definitely looking out for awesome day of activities at the Ellis Thomas Downs this Sunday. Don't miss it, guys.
All right, moving right along. Honorable Mitch Turnbull, the elected member for the 2nd District, is highly disappointed in what he terms as a load of nonsense, as he recounted being searched by airport security, on his way to Trinidad to conduct government duties. He made this statement at the 6th sitting of the first session of the 4th House of Assembly. Listen in.
Mr. Speaker, I want to bring up something that I wish to bring to the Privileges Committee whenever we have our first meeting. It is the matter of protocol for the members of this honorable house. Maybe it happens to some and doesn't happen to others. But I want to bring it up for a matter of us to consider, and we have the right and the platform to change it. I was passing through on government assigned duty to travel to Trinidad in July with some of my honorable colleagues. And Mr. Speaker, I was randomly selected to be searched. I don't have a problem with being searched because I'm not going to carry or do anything in contradiction to the office for which I was sworn in. But Mr. Speaker, what baffles me is having now, this is the beginning of the 2nd term, when we travel to any of the other overseas territories or Caribbean islands, what is on official duty? Courtesies are extended to members of parliament. That, in my view, and other members will bear me up if they feel the need to, we are given the respect, Mr. Speaker, that is due a representative or member of parliament for the particular country. I go back, Mr. Speaker, to having to leave the Terence B. Lettsome Airport, which for a long time I am still familiar with a lot of the employees there because I used to, in my past life, manage their finances and their investments. So even after being elected, I would go through and they would say, take off your belt and your shoes, and there would be no problem, even though I know at that time that wasn't the case, but I would just comply because it was the thing to do. But Mr. Speaker, I have no problem with the search. What I have a problem with is, here I am, not traveling on my own behalf, traveling on the government behalf, having to have my suitcase open in the general public and searched in front of everybody passing, and I'm like, this is a load of nonsense.
Now, Ron, clearly the Honorable Minister is upset, and it really beckons the question, is he right? Now, he is saying, based on the fact that he was traveling on behalf of the government, he shouldn't have been subjected to searches, especially not in front of everyone, if that rule is not applied across the board for all government officials. He further said, and I quote, I tried to stay, and I did stay as calm as I possibly could, but I want to bring it up now so that you know that it is something that we need to address, because there is a list out and only the Premier and the Governor are on the list of exempted members. This is what I was told. End of quote. That is what Honorable Turnbull was saying. Well, he is right. There is a list as confirmed by the BVI Airports Authority, which does include the Premier and the Governor, and as a result, they are exempted from security searches at the airport. Now, while other persons are on the list, it does not include any of the ministers of government. We reached out to two of those very members of the House of Assembly, and both of them said they were in the past summoned to a security check, one of them stating that he had absolutely no issues with it. Now, as expected, this incited mixed emotions from the people. One person said, and I quote, "He is speaking of diplomatic immunity treatment, which is afforded to diplomats of countries. He is in a territory," end of quote. Another resident wrote, "The government customs had Honorable Mitch searched, but allowed ex-con like Buju Banton to pass free. Well, sir." And finally, we had another observer writing, "As a former worker at the airport, I can remember seeing Dancia Penn as deputy governor, a respected lawyer, former attorney general, and member of legislative council, pulled aside for search just about every time she was traveling. She never said hoot. She humbled herself and did whatever she was told. After a while, she seemed to be quite prepared whenever she went through security. Big difference in how people see themselves. Humility will take you a long way when arrogance will take you off the road. Young man, please chill. Who on earth do you believe you are?" End of quote. So, Ron, when you look at this situation, I mean...
of course, Trevor, not to cut you off, these quotes from persons within the community, these are not our words, ladies and gentlemen.
Right?
All right?
Disclaimer.
Yes.
We did quote several members of the community.
Correct. These are their thoughts.
But when we come to think about this situation, do you think that he's acting within his right? Like, do you think government ministers or officials should be afforded the privilege, of course, exempted from security checks, or do you think they should all be subjected to it, just like every other civilian
You know what?
in the country?
Honestly, I don't think it's a matter of what I think. What I think is important is that certain situations and things be put in place when it comes to the bylaws. So you have to ask your question, well, what measures are in place? What do papers say? Is this something that, usually happens, or is it something that, has to be applied for? I do, however, find it interesting that he brought it to the House, because I know there are a lot of behind-the-scenes government meetings,
lunch meetings,
where they can air their grievances. So it's interesting that he chose this platform. But however, that was his preference. It does seem, however, to be a week of complaining from our government ministers. The Honorable Julian Fraser, RA, made a similar statement in the House of Assembly, where he went on somewhat of a rant in reference to the Noise Amendment Act and having too much construction on a Sunday. Now, we are known to be
we are in a mode of recovery and rebuilding.
Well, persons like to frame us always as a Christian society, so perhaps he's thinking about the day being a rest. I don't know, a resting day.
Well, I guess 7 days Adventists could contest the same thing for Saturdays.
Correct, and the persons that worship on Saturday do their work on Sunday, right? But nevertheless, that's another complaint coming from one of our elected officials. So,
With Honorable Turnbull, I feel like, he might be duly concerned, because in other jurisdictions, you find this is the case for government officials. I know in the U.S., for example, members of Congress are exempted. But again, we need to establish what our guidelines are, and of course, make them clear.
Perhaps to
everyone.
the BVI Airports Authority, that's where they would step in and say, hey, this is the bylaws, this is what's required, and then we can go from there. So persons perhaps don't feel as though they should be receiving special treatment when perhaps the bylaws don't afford that. So
I think overall here we have to agree that airport security is unavoidable. There's always a security risk, and I'm sure those officers were just doing their job. He was randomly selected as well, I'm sure. So we're just looking forward to a good result for this one. He did mention that he's going to be taking it up to the Committee of Privileges, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of that.
We will. Up next, your weekly arrest blotter, and President Donald Trump is pulling out all the stunts to stop U.S. automatic citizenship. We'll be right back, everyone, after a word from our sponsors. You're watching To It For News.
When you need to stay connected with friends and families at home or abroad, the best choice for you is Freedom. CCT Freedom. With the lowest rates in the market, our Freedom plan gives you unlimited calls and texting. Plus, our Freedom One package includes 10 gigabits of super fast unlimited LTE data and unlimited calls to the BVI, USA, USVI, Canada, Puerto Rico, and UK lines. Why pay for overages when you can enjoy
CCT Freedom. Stop by at one of our stores today and speak with one of our representatives to find out more about our CCT Freedom packages.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching 284 News. Now, on the international scene, just last week, the Trump administration announced that it would make it harder for children born to U.S. service members serving abroad to claim their U.S. citizenship. Of course, many people were outraged, even as the Trump administration argued that the policy would affect only service members who are naturalized citizens and deployed before establishing U.S. residency. But what's more important than this about this particular change is how the new policy fits a trend. Just as Trump sought to limit both legal and illegal immigration generally, it has tried to make it harder to gain U.S. citizenship by serving in the military, and that's a sharp break from the past. Now, evidence suggests that this may result in a reduction of the military's ability, of course, to accomplish its own goals, while also limiting a way that immigrants can claim a more permanent place in American society. This adds to his long list of efforts to clamp down on immigration. Now, Ron, in an interview with HBO just in 2018, he said, and I quote, "We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous," he said. First off, let's just start with a quick lesson on U.S. citizenship. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution passed after the Civil War was passed after the Civil War, of course, to ensure that Black Americans had full citizenship rights, guarantees citizenship to anyone born in America. This basically means that America would have followed the English common law rule of right of soil, Ron, which of course guarantees citizenship by one's place of birth. Now, because of that, those born in the U.S. or its territories like Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Guam, they're all considered American citizens, regardless of their parents' citizenship status. Now, what you might not know is the borders for citizenship. Those born within U.S. ports and harbors within 12 nautical miles, and this is something that I didn't know prior to coming across this story. Again, those born within U.S. ports and harbors or within 12 nautical miles of U.S. borders are also considered American citizens. Even babies born on planes flying over the U.S. or its territories are able to acquire U.S. citizenship. Yep. The ship or plane's country of origin, it makes no difference regarding the citizenship. Now, Ron, we know ever since 2018 as well, President Trump said that he was preparing an executive order that would nullify the long-accepted constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship in the United States as he sought to activate his base by vowing to clamp down on immigrants as well as immigration. Of course, critics have argued that it won't be that easy and that the order will face legal challenges, but he is still seeking to challenge the 151-year-old standard that anyone born in America is an American. According to a credible source, it is estimated that between 4 and 10 million of U.S. citizens, they live abroad, and this tells us clearly that a lot of persons just travel to the United States to give birth, obviously for the inherited benefits and,
no
of course,
secret there.
right, they return to their home country. Now, Ron, without a doubt, this is going to severely impact the number of immigrants in the U.S., but also block a significant amount of persons from areas just like the British Virgin Islands who enjoy dual citizenship. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's interesting because, of course, the president has been on somewhat of a rampage when it comes to immigration and securing his borders. So I think this is just an example of one of his attempts to do that and to put measures like that in place. However, as we were reading, it did specify, however, that you are supposed to be in the country for 6 weeks prior to giving birth, and I really don't think that's a long time, you know, for persons who are really desirous of having their child in the U.S. I don't think that's a very long time. It could have been a lot more, but again, I think there's more to come as it pertains to his attempt to really secure his borders and put certain measures in place. It does come as a surprise for persons, but I don't think it's the last of it. I think we'll see some more measures, tough measures like this being put in place, just because that's the direction that he's been going into.
Absolutely, and he's made it clear from the beginning. You know, one thing's for sure, President Trump has a real issue, I would say, with immigrants, and some argue that those very immigrants were the backbone of development in the United States. I mean, he has tried in a million ways, including denying green cards to legal immigrants by way of the public charge rule, Ron, which says that if they use or are deemed likely by government to use certain safety net programs for more than 12 months within a 36-month period, we're speaking about food stamps, we're speaking about house and aid and so on, they might not qualify for green cards. So as you can imagine, countless immigrants immediately coming off of these things, just in fear that they might be jeopardizing their legal status. We've seen it with the proposed wall for Mexico, between America and Mexico, of course. We've seen it with FEMA, and of course now from October 29th, the rules will change for children, persons born in the military.
Very, very interesting story. And this week's weekly arrest blotter. Lyron Foy, 27 of Windy Hill, Virgin Gorda, arrested and charged for burglary. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000. Kyle Cable, 19 of Windy Hill, Virgin Gorda, arrested and charged for possession of a controlled drug. He was granted bail in the amount of $2,000. Denville Clark, 43 of Fourth Recovery, arrested and charged for assault occasioning actual bodily harm and criminal trespass. He was also granted bail in the amount of $10,000. Awakeem Gishar, 31 of Carib Bay, arrested and charged for common assault and resisting arrest. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000. Hopeton Campbell, 28 of Horse Path, arrested and charged for common assault and armed with an offensive weapon. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000. David Alphonse, 27 of the Valley Virgin Gorda, arrested and charged for destroying property. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000. James Reed, a 64-year-old native of Australia, arrested and charged for failure to declare monies to customs on true declaration and engaging in smuggling. He appeared before the magistrate's court and was remanded to Her Majesty's prison and is to reappear before the magistrate's court. We have Shedron Richardson, 25 of Towers, West End, arrested and charged for driving without a driver's license, driving an unlicensed vehicle, driving an uninsured vehicle, failing to stop at the scene of a traffic accident, and reckless driving. He was granted bail in the amount of $5,000. Akil Robinson, 23 of Paso Road, the Valley Virgin Gorda, arrested and charged for failing to stop at the sound of a siren. He was granted bail in the amount of $2,000. Another busy week for the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. We see a lot of small criminal activity on the increase, but nevertheless, they continue to do their best, and we wish them all the best.
We do wish them all the best. Viewers, before we wrap up, I just want to remind you guys, for those of you who have been following the devastation in the Bahamas, oh my goodness, it's just difficult to talk about, but many relief efforts are being organized by persons locally, many organizations, including one that will be partially sponsored by 284 Media, and that is the telethon that is being organized by the BVI Rotary family. Of course, that's going to be on Tuesday, next Tuesday, the 10th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We will be covering the event live, and we are imploring you, residents, to find it in your hearts, calling and make your monetary pledges so that we could help to lift our brothers and sisters in the Bahamas out of the atrocities that they're currently facing.
Because there's, just to mention, there's a lot that we can do just within our families, whether it's canned goods, a lot of clothing items,
water.
And there are a number of organizations, so you have a plethora of organizations to choose from who you wish to partner with in giving your donations to that. So Rotary is just one, but there are a lot more, and we'll be there at Rotary on Tuesday.
Yes, so please again find it within your hearts to give. It doesn't matter how little it is, $1, $10, $100, $1,000. It really doesn't matter. Anything will be welcomed
and
in
as you
this
do
time.
it, remember where we were just 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago on this day. Remember where we were as a territory. So think about that for a second.
All right, viewers, that's it for our news roundup today. Be sure to like us on Facebook at 284 Media, as well as 284 BVI on Instagram, as well as Twitter. I'm Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. Be sure to join us live every Tuesday and Friday at 3 p.m. as we deliver honest and impartial news right here on 284 News. Happy Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend. Don't have too much fun. If you see us, hey, hit us
Say
up.
hi.
We're good. Hey.
Or buy us a drink.
Hi, I'm Henderson Tittle, founder and president of Mail, and you're watching 284 Media. The journey continues.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.